On the nights of May 18th and 19th, 2021, the Sambisa forest held its breath. Engines roared, loudspeakers thundered, and men who once fought side by side now hunted each other through the darkness. Their message was simple: we seek only Shekau. Surrender, and you will live. The Islamic State West Africa province, ISWAP, had come for Abubakar Shekau, the self-proclaimed emir of Boko Haram, a man whose violence reshaped Nigeria, destabilized the entire Lake Chad basin, and left scars that will outlive generations. This is the story of his making and unmaking. He was born in the early 1970s in a small Kinuri village in Yobe State. To the world, he would later become Abubakar Shekau, the terrorist warlord. But in his childhood, he was simply Babson, a skinny, sharp-eyed boy who played midfield on dusty village pitches. His father, a humble local imam, filled their home with religion and discipline. From a young age, Shekau memorized Quranic verses on wooden slates. A typical Almiri life, begging for food, living under strict teachers. Then tragedy struck. As a teenager, after memorizing the Quran, Shekau's teacher, Malamande, rewarded him with a young wife. She died in childbirth. The shock fractured his world, and fractured his faith in the society around him. Somewhere between grief and bitterness, a fire began to burn inside him. Before Shekau became a militant, he was a perfume seller, riding a rickety, spilly bicycle, a wooden box tied to the back. He went from street to street in Maiduguri. He dabbed fragrance on customers' wrists, waited silently, and then asked if they would buy. People called him my too rare, the perfume seller. But behind that quiet exterior was a man drawn deeply into extremist teachings. By the early 2000s, Shekau sought something beyond survival. A purpose, a cause, a place where his anger, his intelligence, and his obsession with scripture could be weaponized. That place appeared in 2004 when he met a charismatic preacher named Muhammad Yusuf. It was a turbulent time in Nigeria's history. The country had just returned to democracy after decades of military dictatorship. Corruption was rampant, communities were abandoned, and the young felt invisible. Into this void stepped Muhammad Yusuf, a fiery preacher whose sermons burned with accusation and promise. He founded the Ibn Taymiyyah Masjid in Maiduguri, attracting hundreds of unemployed, angry, disillusioned youth. Among them, Abubakar Shekau. He was Yusuf's most dedicated student. Fierce, obsessive, unwavering. When Yusuf preached, Shekau trembled. When Yusuf condemned the Nigerian state as corrupt and ungodly, Shekau nodded with blazing eyes. Boko Haram was forming, and Shekau was not just a follower. He was becoming its enforcer. Everything changed in July 2009. Clashes between the sect and security forces erupted across Bauchi, Yobe, Kano, and especially Maiduguri. Hundreds died within days. On July 30th, 2009, Muhammad Yusuf was arrested, and that same day, executed extrajudicially, shot outside the police headquarters in Maiduguri. His bullet-riddled body was displayed publicly. The government thought the crisis was over. But in that moment, in the shadows of Maiduguri, Shekau, with a bullet wound in his thigh, slipped away. He would later say, "Yusuf died a martyr, and I will avenge him." Nigeria had killed the preacher. Shekau would become the avenger. From 2009 to 2012, Shekau lived a double life. Using the alias Alhaji Gabra, he healed his wounds, remarried, and built a secret family life in Region Zaki, Kano. While he smiled at neighbors, bombs exploded across Nigeria. June 16, 2011, suicide bomber strikes police HQ, Abuja. August 26, 2011, UN building bombing kills 21. November 4, 2011, Demeter massacre leaves 100 to 150 dead. Churches bombed on Christmas Day, 2011. And yet, the mastermind lived unnoticed in Kano, driving a golf car through checkpoints, shaking hands with police officers, and managing 4 wives and dozens of children. By late 2012, the walls were closing in. He fled back to Borno, and from Borno, into the dark womb of the Sambisa forest.